Hey, everybody, welcome to From Struggle to Strength, where we explore personal journeys of resilience and transformation. I'm your host, Rob Cooper. As a veteran and someone who continues to navigate my own personal development, I've learned the importance of sharing the stories and the power of a recovery community. In each episode, I will be sitting down with inspiring guests who have faced their own battles only to emerge stronger. We'll dive deep into conversations about the struggles we face, the steps we take in recovery, how we can ultimately find strength in our most challenging moments. My own journey from military service to personal crisis and eventually to founding Zero Hour Life Center has taught me that nobody should have to face their darkest hours alone. This podcast is a platform for voices that uplift, experiences that empower, and stories that resonate with all of us. Join us as we listen, learn, and grow together from struggle to strength. You're not alone in your journey, and each story shared here is a reminder of that enduring truth. Without further ado, welcome to this edition of the Struggle to Strength podcast. Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of From Struggle to Strength. I'm Rob Cooper, CEO for Zero Hour Life Center. And it's been a while. I haven't done a podcast in about a couple of weeks. We've been dealing with natural disasters, hurricanes back to back. So I'm so excited to be joined by Miss Denise, coming from Las Vegas, Nevada. Everybody call it Sin City, but I'm not going to say that. But
there are a few saints here.
No, there is. But I don't want to mess up your last name, so that's why I said Miss Denise. I didn't say your last name, so I'll let you carry on. Well, everybody, welcome Miss Denise to the Struggle to Strength podcast. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm super happy to be here, Rob. I appreciate you inviting me. My last name is Thistlewaite, and yeah, I'm here coming from a very hot Las Vegas. We're finally out of our 100-degree rampant, so I'm hoping it stays that way because I'm ready for fall. I'm done with the heat.
Right. So tell me a little bit about what you got going on in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I would love to. So I I was an educator for years, and I became a director for investigations, which was basically internal affairs for a school district with over 40,000 employees and 300,000 kids. Um, a lot of different ways to get into trouble. And it was a really interesting job that I did for well over a decade. But during that time, it was super intense and very stressful. And because of the work that I was doing, that was so confrontational. Like it was, an employee that got into trouble and got disciplined or was being dismissed. And I had constant hearings where that employee with their union steward would be on one side of the table and the administrator that issued the discipline and their attorney or advocate on the other. And everyone's arguing their side as to why they were right and just and what happened. And it was, when I took the job, I knew it was going to be confrontational in nature, but I had no idea how intense the stories would be, and more so how intense the feelings would be. And to be in a small conference room, just faced with constant anger and frustration and blame for hours every day, it really started to take a toll on me mentally. And I wasn't sleeping. I had migraines all the time. And I'm a mom, I have 3 kids, I have a husband, and I'm trying to, dump it at the door and not dump it in my kitchen. So it was just really hard to deal with, like, all of the negative emotion and energy that I was dealing with at work, and come home and be like, okay, I can get through this and I could be mom and wife now and do what's most important in my life, right? Instead of just the work outside.
Right.
So it's been a really interesting journey, but I finally found my way. So I'm super happy to share how that happened.
Yeah. So when you say you was an educational administrator, go more, were you teaching or were you just in the front office, or
Yeah, yeah. So I started as a second and third grade teacher, and then
God
I
bless you.
became a sixth, seventh, and eighth grade English teacher.
Okay.
And then I transitioned into administration. So I was an elementary school AP, and then I was a middle school assistant principal. And then I went to work in HR, and I really wanted to help kids in a different way. And when I was in high school, we had some teachers that were a little bit inappropriate with students, and nothing horrible happened to me or anything, but just like buying alcohol, things like
Yeah.
that. And as I grew, into adulthood and I have three of my own kids, I was like, I knew that wasn't right before, but now I was like, that's really not right. And I want to help protect kids in a different way. So I went to work in a department called Employee Management Relations that's under the HR umbrella. And I rose my way up from a coordinator to a director, director two of investigations, where I handled incoming calls from principals and like high ranking administrators saying, oh my gosh, this employee did this thing. What do I
Mhm.
do? And I helped them gather evidence. I interviewed witnesses. We got like everything together, similar to what police would do. Sometimes if it was an infraction that could be punishable by crime, we got the police involved, worked in concert with them. But a lot of times it was more just you really crossed the line as an educator and it wasn't criminal. So then we would do our own investigations and help the administrator issue the discipline. And then in the other side, for cases I didn't handle, I was a hearing officer deciding on if the punishment was appropriate and fair based on what the infraction was.
Mhm.
Um, it was really interesting that a lot of the kids in my work at the middle school that were troubled and, had really bad decision-making skills,
Mhm.
it's now 40 years later, and those are the same adults that are standing across from me that have not learned any better decision-making skills.
Right.
And it just really lit a light bulb up to me, like, what can we do to help these people get out of their head, break the chain of the story and the repetitious
Mhm.
loop that they're constantly living and making bad choices that are resulting in things that are hurtful to them because they're just not even conscious they're doing it.
Right.
So that's basically how I ended up where I am now.
And you hit a great point there. Um, because we at Zero Hour Life Center, we are a recovery community organization, and so we help people get into recovery or help people that's in early recovery to sustain recovery from substance use. And we work with teens too. So I work with adults all the way up to 70, sometimes 75, all the way down to teens that's 14, 13.
Yeah.
And I look at our youth, I look at the teens and the ones that are coming from teen court, coming from, because we get a lot of referrals from people from teen court. And I look at this situation, then I start to talk to them, or my peers start talking to them, and come to find out that their caregiver, whoever that is in the same boat. They're not really, so they don't have any structure. They don't have any rules. The caregiver just letting them do what they want to do. They done gave
Hmm.
up, and they just, let the criminal justice, handle them. So, I bet, and you said that, 40 years later, you see the same kids now as adult, and I strive to try to hit them and stop them at the front so we don't have to see them when they get 40 or 50.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And if we can catch them at the front. But, I think about teachers now. You know, I think about my own teachers, and still, and I'm in my 40s, and me and my sister, we still laugh about teachers that we had, and we have some teachers that made some great impact, and really, really, I still talk about them, and they're passed on, but we still talk about them.
Yeah.
But teachers today, I feel that they have it. It's different. It's different. It's a lot of outside forces now that is trying to dictate of how they run the classroom, how they teach kids, what
Yeah.
curriculum that they need to teach. Back when we were growing up, we knew you can get English, math. You may have to take a social social studies or something,
Yeah.
Now, and I'm seeing more and more that teachers are leaving the field
Yeah.
and would take lesser pay in in some other job just because they are done with that.
Yeah.
So how can what is it is it because of the school system? Is it because of the kids? Is it because of all the outside noise that teachers are really feeling like this is not my calling? I don't know why I went to school for this. I'd rather go to Bojangles or McDonald's and be a manager. So, are you seeing the same thing?
Yeah. I love this question. Um, So a lot of different things you talked about to unpack here, but I think I love teachers. I was a teacher for many years. My husband is a teacher. Both of my in-laws were a teacher. My parents are teachers. I come from a long line of generation of teachers. And it has changed substantially since my in-laws and my parents taught to my son is going to college, excuse me, to become a teacher now. And it's there's so many different factors, but I think in being an administrator and watching all
Hmm.
of the things that are dumped on teachers now, it is such a heavy burden of additional things that they never had to deal with before. Even when
Hmm.
I was a teacher earlier in my career, I got hired, I had the curriculum from the state, and they said, go teach. And I did. I went and I
Hmm.
taught. And
Yeah.
then as I progressed and even became an administrator and then went to central office where the things that you see and how the decisions are made is scary. But I couldn't believe how much more is being piled on teachers, not just with like, here's the curriculum, teach it, but prescribe exactly how you're going to teach it, when you're going to teach it, work with the team to teach it, integrate all of your curriculum to teach it. And then the whole assessment, do weekly assessments, do analysis of every assessment, like all of the things that are just piled onto them. I don't even think they spend 50% of their time teaching anymore. They're
Hmm.
spending time fitting into these boxes of so many things that are required of them. And even as a principal, you're like, I'm so sorry. Like, how can I help you? But it's coming from up here where you have to do
Right.
all of these things. And I have to tell you, in being in central office in the legal department, as I was, social media has added a whole other layer of crazy
Hmm.
because um and maybe in ways that you think and maybe not. So whenever anything is happening in a school, like say for example, um a teacher yells at a kid like so when I was in a classroom and I had a student that mouthed off or whatever to me, and I would say, step outside, let's have a talk. And I'm a pretty I'm 5'3", and
Yeah.
these boys are bigger than me,
Right.
and I'm in eighth grade, and I mean I was just felt like I was explaining to them, if you respect me and show me respect, I will absolutely do the same for you. I'm trying to
Right.
teach you something here. It's not just a matter of you not doing your homework. It's bigger than that. And build a
Hmm.
rapport with those kids. But now a teacher says anything to a kid or there's any incident, you've got 50 phones whipped out
Yeah.
immediately from every angle. And even in the investigative position I was in, I was just like getting all of these videos and photos of things that I'm like, what is happening here? And and the distraction level of students in learning right now. I mean, I know a really big thing nationwide is dealing with phones in the classroom. Like
Right.
the social media just grabs, like constant attention grabber. It's so difficult, so much more difficult to be a teacher now. And I don't think that it's the kids are like being more disrespectful. I think that kids raised in the environment where, like you said earlier, they don't have the structure, they don't have the
Yeah.
rules, they don't have those parental values and guidance that they need.
Hmm.
That's been there since forever, right? That's always
Hmm.
been a thing for parents that work. And, that's been going, it was when I was a student, it was there too. But now there are just so many other factors that teachers have to fight against. And when you
Hmm.
come down to the amount of work, like as an English teacher, I was constantly grading writing. I didn't sit down and watch TV. I sat down with my family and watched TV while I'm grading papers, grading papers. It's just so much extra that they have to
Yeah.
put into it that when you figure it out cost per hour, they're making less than they would as a manager at McDonald's for sure.
Right.
And all the stress. And one more thing that I think is important. cyberbullying in the world out there now with students. It's gotten to a point that it's so out of control. And now what school districts that I've seen have done is say to the teacher, if you know of any bullying, if you see any or hear of any bullying, you have to report it immediately, which I understand. But the process of reporting it, I could
Mhm.
report 6 incidents a day, and that's my teaching day.
Oh, wow.
Like, it's just too much. There need to be some other parameters of protections put into place to help these teachers who have become the security guard for these kids, the counselor for these kids, the moms and dads for these kids, instead of just the teachers.
Yeah, and I think about it. My sister, she's a guidance counselor, and I have a friend that's in Orlando. He's a 10th grade math teacher, and I was talking to him about last week, and well, like 2 weeks ago when school started back, and he was telling me, and I said, "Do you get any weekends off?" He said, "No, on weekends I'm getting ready for the week." He said, I'm really just planning my week." He's like, "Man, I don't get no time off." And I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, I think Monday through Friday, yeah, off weekends or whatever. He said, "No, I'm getting prepared for the week ahead. I'm grading papers. I'm doing my lesson plan."
Yeah.
And and you don't realize it, and you don't appreciate teachers like they should be appreciated, because you look at it. I'm one of these people, I'm guilty of it. I say that's the best job ever. You get 2 weeks off for Christmas, you get three months off for the summer. Who don't want to be a teacher?
Yeah.
But you don't think about behind the scenes in the classroom. You're dealing with 20 or 30 kids. Some classes are bigger. Then you got to deal with administration. Then you got to deal with the politics of it.
Yeah.
And you're right. And we need to pay our teachers, because I think about this too. And I think about, I love the internet. I love social media. Um, but I'm gonna tell my age now. I didn't grow up with that. I didn't have
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
things
Me
were
neither.
different. Things
Hmm.
were different. And I think what happened when that internet hit, and it changed how we as parents parent now,
Yeah.
because now we're so glued to these, and just kids are just doing what they want to do. I remember getting home from school off the bus. "Hey, you got homework?" "Nope." "Bring your book bag. Let me see it."
Yeah. Yeah.
Look
Exactly.
through it. All right.
Exactly.
"Okay, you don't got homework. Go in there, clean your room. Go out there, do something." I was
Go
busy.
outside.
Go
Go,
outside.
who goes outside anymore?
Right, right. Um,
And it's an addiction. It's an
yeah,
addiction for adults. It's an addiction for kids. It's a different kind of addiction, but it absolutely is. And the emotional toll that it takes on people and the negative self-talk as a result of it, people are only going to post the fun things that they're doing, the great things they're
right.
doing for the most part. And you're seeing that, and how many kids and adults have FOMO. And for me, for a teacher, what you mentioned about 3 months off in the summer, good God, that's like emotional recoup time, because
Yeah,
you're about to lose your damn mind by the
right.
time it's the end of the year, and you're like, I need an outlet to try to breathe and reset, because when August 1st rolls around, you already are feeling the tension of, here we go, here we go again. And so many times too, it's with a revolving door of administrators who then want to come in and change all the policies, like
Mm,
without even, you watch and learn for a year. And then
right.
you see what's really broken. People don't have time anymore. They don't like, I feel like there is no patience anymore
No,
for
it's not.
anything. And learning patience to me as a young person was so important. And what I've learned about mindfulness in the work that I've done, the self work that I've done, and the introspection that I've done, it has completely changed my life. And if sixth graders, teens can learn about mindfulness and even separating your thoughts from your thinking and what metacognition is, it reframes everything. And I think they would be so much happier from kid to adult to grandparent. Like it's just amazing how much it can really expand your view of things.
So look, we're gonna dive in. I heard you went on a 10-day retreat and
I
it
did.
changed your life.
It did.
So talk about this 10-day retreat that you went on. It was a silent retreat. So
It
explain
was.
that and
So
what
can I
happened.
can I say holy shit? Are you going to bleep me out?
No,
You
go
know,
ahead.
holy shit. Um, okay, so I was dealing with all of this crazy negative energy in hearings. Like I said, I was not handling it well. Like I was starting to get physically sick because I was just internalizing and pushing down all of this negative crap. So I started getting into mindfulness and reading about it. And I took a course and I'm like, I'm going to go on a retreat. I need to go on a retreat. So I found this 10-day silent Vipassana retreat in 29 Palms, California. And
Mm,
I thought, oh, silence. Like, I just need some silence. It'll be so much better. Oh my gosh, it is not silent because your head is insanely talking constantly to itself. So I go to the retreat, really bizarre initial reaction. Like, you have to hand everything over, your car keys, your phone. You can't journal, you can't read. You can do nothing but have your bedding and your clothes and your meditation pillow. So I set my room up. You're in a little cabin. You meditate for 12 to 14 hours a day
wow.
straight in different clumps of time. There's eating breakfast and lunch in between there. And there's like an hour here and there for you can, relax. I walked this loop that's a mile over and over and over. And you're meditating. First you do Anapana meditation, and then you do what's called Vipassana meditation. And the whole premise of it is to be equanimous. So you aren't craving anything and you have no aversion to anything. So it comes to the minute point of like, if you have an itch and it's bothering you, you don't scratch it because it's an aversion. So you're breathing through it and just things like that. So you're learning lessons in that way along the way. But you're also dealing with this incredible amount of mind chatter and monkey mind that is just going everywhere because there's no outlet at all. You can't write, you can't talk, I mean, you have no engagement. And for 10 days, you start to feel like you're going crazy because you're just not only you're just thinking, like by about the third day, I'm having full-on conversations with this whole other person that's in my head. And I was like, oh, this is this is getting kind of wild. But I was one of the very lucky people that by doing the work and what you're doing basically is you're concentrating on different parts of your body, head to toe, back up again, body scans, like focusing on 2-inch squares to feel something in that space. And as you're doing that, you are physically like disrupting blocks of the energy inside your body.
Mm,
And all of these things just start to bubble up and out. And there's a crazy dark night involved. I had a really weird hallucination experience. Some
mm,
people got physically ill with it. We all talked afterwards, and it was just this really incredible bonding of all these people. But I also had an awakening experience where I just I'm not, I went into this not a very religious person. I was born
mm,
Catholic. We go to church on the holidays. My husband's more religious than I am, so he's kind of bringing me more along.
mhm,
Um, I found God. Like I literally felt like I dissolved into this nothingness of
mhm,
love and light and just engulfment of pure goodness and energy and vibration. And it was the most overwhelming thing I could have ever experienced in my life.
mm,
And I came out of that. I was just like hysterically crying. I was shaking. Like I didn't know what happened to me. I was so happy for days after I, finished the retreat. I'm on cloud nine. I come home. I'm so excited. I'm telling my family and friends like what happened. And they're like, oh, they put drugs in the food. There were
right.
subliminal messages. Like, and I'm like, okay, that's not what happened, but we'll leave it at that. Like, who you can go deeper with when you're having
Right.
conversation and when you see the glaze and you have to just stop talking. But it was just crazy. And what started my journey of where I am now with
Mhm.
creating a happier and more fulfilled life for myself was first trying to figure out what the heck happened to me. Because I was like, there has to be an explanation for this other than like, I had no idea. So I just started researching energy, researching your body, what happens to you, spiritual things. Um, and I kind of found the answers and then went down this rabbit hole of mindfulness and metacognition and just how to do practices, change things in your life, making better choices, having the ability to make choices that you didn't
Mm.
yet knew you had because you just take a step back for a second. There's a whole other component of emotional intelligence that you just realize that you are not your story that's just going everywhere all at once. You're
Mhm.
the one that can be watching the story and kind of step back and breathe and be like, okay, what's a better way I can handle this situation? And when I came back, I was a completely different person, not only with my family, my friends, and just happier, but with the work I approached in a completely different way. And
Mm.
before I was like so hardcore and like black and white. Here's the rule, you broke it. Here's the consequence. This is how it is. Now
Mhm.
I was like, oh my God, like these people cannot help themselves. Like I have to help them break the cycle
Mhm.
because they did not see another choice.
Mm.
And it really got me involved in a lot of research. I mean, this was 8 years ago, and just
Mhm.
constant learning about how to connect with people in a different way so that they can just separate themselves for a moment
Mhm.
in that moment of high
Yeah.
emotion and not go on that roller coaster or be swept away by the anger that they were feeling now because you need to like just give yourself a breath and a break and make a decision about what you want the outcome to be because you've done it the wrong way so many times. You know what you know it's going to be blow up, emotions, relationships ending,
Mhm.
awful things happening, but to teach people that they have a choice. Like to me, one conversation at a time, that is the most important element in all of this. And I imagine you see the exact same thing.
Yeah, and I'm a veteran, and I've been to 29 Palms. I've been
Mhm.
out there to 29 Palms. And so when you said 29 Palms, I'm like, they sent y'all out to 29 Palms to do a meditation? Um,
Yes, it's like a
the,
mirage out there in the middle of the
yes.
desert.
If you've never been to 29 Palms, you take a trip out there. um, but VA does a lot of, they believe in mindfulness. They practice, oh man, anything that you do with when it comes to the mental health department or anything is mindfulness. Um, so we deal with a lot of people that's in recovery or people that deal with substance use. How could mindfulness be so beneficial to a person that's in early recovery, coming out of addiction, coming out of their adversity, getting their life back on track? How could that help a person further their recovery by doing a simple practice of calming down, get calm your mind, getting quiet, be still, and just connected to something? How can that help somebody in early recovery?
Yeah, it can absolutely help someone. So I want to give you an example before I answer the question, okay? So what's your favorite restaurant?
um, I like Olive Garden.
Okay, Olive Garden. So you have a free night, like there's nobody around, you're just home by yourself, and you're like, I'm going to treat myself to Olive Garden. I'm going to go have dinner there by myself. So
Mm.
you go to Olive Garden, I go to Olive Garden, I'm in the next booth, and Jesse goes to Olive Garden and they're in the next booth, and we're all alone. And I am order my food and I'm eating my food and I am just thinking in my head, like, I am so worried about my son who moved away and he's like trying to adapt to a new city. And I'm like, oh my gosh, is he going to be okay? What can I do? Is there a way I can help him? And as I'm thinking this, my stomach's starting to get, feel weird. My body temperature is going up. My neck is super tight. And
Mhm.
all of this is happening to me. And Jesse over here is like, I cannot believe the argument that I had last night with my husband or wife. It was awful. And I can't believe I said the things I did. I can't believe I did the things I did. And they are having such regret about the past, not just removing themselves by thinking, how could I do things differently? But they're like reliving it and they're feeling
Mhm.
horrible. And then there's you, and you're sitting there and you have things that happen in the past that you regret. You have a
Mhm.
worry about tomorrow, that's something that you need to do. But you're sitting there and you're like eating your Olive Garden, you're having a drink and you're like, God, it's a beautiful day. This is so good. This is the best Olive Garden I've had in so long. And I'm
Mhm.
so appreciative I have this moment to myself. We are literally in the same exact place, 3 feet apart. Jesse,
Mhm.
you, and me. And we're having completely different experiences.
Mhm.
And mindfulness is about recognizing what your body is doing. So if I'm,
Mhm.
and I'll be doing this until I'm 90, I know you never perfect it, but it's
Yeah.
something you grow and you learn from. So I'm grocery shopping and I start feeling something because I'm like, oh gosh, I have to call my mom. I have to have this hard conversation. And I'm like feeling like it's happening.
Mhm.
I will say to myself, no, like I feel my stomach getting upset. I could feel my muscles clenching. My jaw is tight. I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm going to breathe for a second and step away for a second from this thought because this is not happening now. Right now, I'm in a safe space.
Mhm.
Nothing bad is going on. In this moment, when I get home, I can plan what I'm going to say that might, make it have a better conversation or upbeat conversation. But I don't have to feel the emotions of worry about it right now because it's not happening right now. And
Mhm.
for me, it's all about the recognizing. And when I try to share with people, I'm like, just notice what your body is doing. The more you can focus inward and have introspection on how you're reacting to anything. Everyone reacts in different ways, but
Mhm.
just by being like, okay, my body's doing something crazy right now because my mind is going, I need to breathe for a second and realize I can problem solve this, but I'm
Mhm.
not in it right now. Like that is all about what mindfulness is for me and how people in your situation and dealing with recovery, I imagine they have so much going on in their head
Yeah.
and it's so easy and fast to spiral out of control. And another thing, we have so much negative self-talk. We talk horrible to ourselves about
Yeah.
being trash and being awful people. If you talk to your friends the way you talk to yourself, you would have no friends. So,
Right.
I mean, just to recognize that and be like, no, like my mind is just going, this isn't factual. Everything's okay. Breathe through it. Let that thought pass. Like just let things flow through you instead of grasping onto them and making them the focus of what your thinking is in that moment.
So right now, are you're done with teaching, you're done with administrative stuff. So right now, what is your profession right now? What is Miss Denise doing now as a career?
Okay, so I still did the hearing officer thing for 5 more years after I got back from the retreat. And it was
Okay.
great because it really changed, like I said, my perspective of the work and all of that. I retired. I meditate all the
Congratulations.
time. Thank you very much. I was very excited. I had 30 years in, so it was awesome. I'll be 60 next year. So,
Miss
um,
Denise,
yes, sir.
come on now.
I have good skincare.
I look. I'm thinking you probably. I'm saying like, she, me and her probably about the same age. We in 40. Miss Denise, you got some good genes.
Thank you very much. See, and I have some wisdom to share. I'm not just like talking. So I've experimented a lot, but I'll tell you what, if I knew what I knew now when I was 20 or 30, my life would be unstoppable because you learn these things and how to make your life better. And it's just crazy. But so what I'm doing now is drive to work every day and I'm like, what am I going to do when I retire? Because I don't want to do this
Right.
anymore. And I used to listen to audiobooks all the time. And one day I
Mm,
had an epiphany. I'm like, I'm going to learn how to be a voice actor. So I'm actually a full-time voice actor now.
okay.
And I am writing a book about my
Ooh,
experience and everything.
okay.
So diving deep into social media and trying to get a following so that I could get a literary agent and publish my book. And I just want to share this message because I feel like it's important. And I was, like I said, a different person before all of this eye-opening, realization that I've had. And it's had such a good impact on my own life. And I
Mhm.
just want to share it with people. I want to public speak. I want to get out there. I want to be on podcasts. I just want to share this message and finish this book and get it out there so I can help people just try. I mean, it sounds so cliche, right? Like if I even help one person, but just to really try to help anybody that I can get out of the headspace that their past does not define them
Yeah.
and that they can make changes in their lives for the better. It's never too late to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I was, I was talking to the participants here at the respite, and this is just a short stay for them. It's just to get them out of the chaos and all that, the destruction, and we get them here
Hmm.
and just let them breathe. They are not around, any drugs. They get food, they get a warm bed to sleep in, and we're working with them, try to get them on to the next stop. And so I was having that same conversation with them this morning because we do like a little morning huddle where I check in with them and just, see how the night went, sleep good.
Hmm.
And I was saying the same exact thing that you were just saying. I said, you know, you on the other side, you got a decision right now. You can burn the boat so you can't go back, or you can just keep you on the other side, you can just keep going. And I said that, I said, your past doesn't have to define you. I said the same exact thing because we do beat ourselves up. We are harsh on ourselves. We are our worst critics because
Hmm.
we always have that shoulda, coulda, woulda. I should have been farther than what I am. And we talked about social media, and really I'm not on it like I used to be because it's not reality. It's not reality. It's not people reality. And it drives me up the wall that we are so infatuated with, oh, look what so-and-so got on TikTok. Look what this got. And then we think our life should be like this, or we should be
Yeah.
better. We should be
Yeah.
better. And we put all that pressure on us. And then we're dealing with that, and then now we're stressed out because we had a job that we're not happy because we didn't go to college, we didn't do this, and or we didn't build that foundation when we was younger to have a better livelihood, and then we just walk around just negative, just,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
So coming from your retreat and you had that spiritual awakening. That's what I want
Hmm.
to call it.
Hmm.
You had that awakening. So after that, did you get stressed out? Did you, or did, because I bet you came home and you was like a different mother, you was a different wife, you were like, it is what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, so it's funny that you say that because so when I came back, it was crazy because I mean, obviously totally isolated, no stimuli whatsoever. I come back and the job that I was in before I left, I told my boss, I'm like, I'm going to be off the grid. And he's like, we got you. It's fine. And I'm like, you don't understand. I will be off, but like, you cannot reach me for 11 days. And he's like, we got it. And there was a huge case we had been working on. So while I'm gone, there's a huge raid. It's federal is involved. They have, it was the biggest case, one of the biggest cases I've ever dealt with. And I was gone during that tiny piece of it. I get back and they're like, we need you to go to the warehouse and start going through all the stuff that we seized. Now I'm in this giant warehouse with forklifts going, bright lights. Like I thought I was so overwhelmed. It was crazy. So I
Mhm,
finally get through that, go back to my regular work, and I was really good for about 5 or 6 months. And then I started to get really depressed
mhm,
because I'm like, I want that feeling back. Like,
mhm.
why can't I keep that feeling?
Yeah.
And it was against everything I had learned in the Vipassana because they're like, you're not supposed to crave, right? And have aversions. You're supposed to just let everything flow. And I'm like craving, yearning for this feeling again. So this is my first experience of serendipity. I leave my work one day and there was a Trader Joe's on the corner. And I used to go there on Mondays and get salads and fruit for my lunch for the week, throw it in my fridge. So I walk down there, I'm getting ready to get food, and there's a used bookstore in the same plaza. So I go in and I'm like, can you point me toward, spirituality, metaphysical, self-help, whatever. And I'm looking. N- It's all the same. I'm reading the same self-help stuff. And I've read some really good self-help stuff, but it was nothing new. So I'm leaving and I see this book on an upper shelf and it's tan, no jacket cover. You can't see anything. I actually have it right here. You can't see, it's holding my mic up. So it was up high. It's just this cover and you could
Yeah.
see words, and it's called After the Ecstasy, the Laundry. And I'm like,
Mm,
So I get the book down and I open it and I start reading this book and it's by Jack Kornfield. And it is telling me exactly how I'm feeling. It's like after you have this awakening, unbelievable spiritual experience, now you have to go back to taking the kids to school, doing your laundry, like there's a monk that has an amazing experience and they have to go home and deal with, things at home, fix the plumbing, whatever. And they're like, how do you cope with it?
mm,
So this book became so important to me because it helped me work through not only what happened to me was real, it made me realize it, but then it directed me toward this author who really started helping you not yearn for the bliss because you can make changes in your life to be happier now.
mm,
And that to me was the big turning point. And then I just went down a rabbit hole of reading, and I mean, my house was just stacks of
mm.
self-help books. My husband, he's such a sweetheart, but he was like, she seems happier. He didn't even ask. He just like moving the stacks as he's cleaning, put the stack back. He's like, she's
Right,
going through something, but I'm not going to touch it with a 10-foot pole.
right.
And it was just helping me grow so much. And after probably that 8 years ago, then I retired, like maybe a year into the real reading, I really started finding some practices that made a huge difference for me. And then I
Mm,
was like, I have to start really doing like meditating every day and putting, different perspectives. It's all about perspective. So I'm
yeah.
examining the perspective of different things
Mm,
all the time. But I have to say, I cannot tell you how I'm so honored to be here talking to you, how grateful it is to have people like you doing the work that you're doing because you are touching so many lives. And I know that you're aware of that, but you might say something this morning to someone that they remember in 6 months, and you were
right.
their lifeline because they heard those words. It is
Yeah.
like, it's so moving and so touching. And it just keep doing what you're doing because it's so important. And the social media part of it, yeah, there's a lot of evil out there and there's a lot that's not real out there, but I want to fight for good, right? Like I want to
Right.
be like, we can get good messages out like this podcast so that we can show people a better way. Because even when people start looking through social media at more positive things instead of all the
Mm,
negative, it's going to make an impact somehow. It's going to
right.
touch them in some way.
Right. So how far are you on finishing your book and when can we expect the book coming out? Do you have a title? I'm trying to give me a
Yeah.
sneak peek.
Yeah. So I I am doing the artwork on it right now. I'm doing my own artwork and my husband is illustrating parts. So I wanted to get
Okay.
some illustrations in the nonfiction. I'm about 2/3 of the way done writing it, and I really want to get a publishing house. I'm going to give myself a year of really trying to get a literary agent. And if I can't, then I'll self-publish, but I really would love to do that. So I'm expecting sometime around this time next year, it will be out. I want to get it done by January. I want to be finished with it by the end of this year and then really start reaching out to agents and trying to see if someone will take it. And I might get frustrated after 6 months and be like, I'm just going to do it myself. It's called Holy
Right.
Shit, I Think I'm Enlightened.
Okay.
And it's a subtitle basically about how to make choices to live a more positive and fulfilling life.
Mm. Well, Miss Denise, I gotta bring you back on because an hour is not enough. I got so much stuff I want to ask you. I just want to eh, you're I feel your energy and I can sit here and talk to you all day and I can just sit here and I just got so much stuff I want to ask you.
Thank you
So
so
can,
much. I feel
can
yours
I bring
too.
you
That's
back on?
absolutely. I would love
Because
to.
yeah, there's gonna be a part two of this. It's gonna be a part two because because I didn't even talk about how to work with people that stress, how the people that work with people with negative energy. I didn't even get to that part.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
just amazed by that you were in a stressful job that was so demanding, and then you took a 10-day retreat and it just blew you upside down that you came back like, I'm
Yep.
back. Let's go.
Yep.
You know?
Let's go. That's right. I would love to come back. I've truly enjoyed talking with you. And yeah, we need to do a mini series. We do have a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Because I want to get
we're gonna change the world, you and I.
right. Yes. All the way. Y'all, she is from Las Vegas, Nevada. And I'm it was an honor speaking with you, Miss Denise. And look, you don't judge a book by its cover because I did not. I'm thinking me and Miss Denise were the same age. And I'm like, man, I
You're
need
so
what?
funny.
I need to start doing something.
No, you're
Send
good.
me an email on what you're doing because I'm trying to cut off the gray out my beard
Oh
and
my gosh, you look fabulous. You look fabulous. Yes. And so anybody can find me. I have a website and it's An Enlightened Life. And I have free meditations on there. If you sign up, you get a free, every 2 weeks, you get a meditation in your inbox. And I'm An Enlightened Life on social media. And yeah, and I really want to come back. I just started the YouTube thing too, myself, same name. But yeah, I want to come back and talk to you. And we have a lot of great things we can tackle about how to help people get through their stuff for sure.
yes, ma'am. And y'all go to her YouTube channel. Y'all follow her on all the socials. She's doing great work out there. I'm waiting for the book. I'm very intrigued about this meditation. I really am. And we're gonna bring you back. Y'all, this is Struggle to Strength, and this was a different episode today. Usually we bring people on that tells us how they went through their struggle, now they're in strength mode. But Miss Denise is in her strength mode right now, and she is enjoying life, and she wants to get out there and help others, and she is helping others. And whoever stumbled upon this podcast, I hope that this can help you. This can launch you to whatever your destiny is. You don't have to be stuck. And you're looking at Miss Denise just told you. She told you the blueprint. Okay. So I'm gonna bring her back. And Miss Denise, it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure having this hour with you. And I look forward to bringing you back. My people get with your people. We're going to schedule this and we're going to bring you back. And I'm going to have part 2. And
Good.
if you need anything, you can reach me. I'm always available.
Thank you so
and
much.
It was a pleasure meeting you.
It was a pleasure for me too. I truly appreciate you and keep doing the good work you're doing. It's important.
Thank you. Thank you.